So here we are.
Hey, on Marcus's page, we can. There's like a section where we can invite Marcus to speak.
Oh.
Listen, I'm willing to throw down if we can get him to come on this podcast.
You know, I actually am positive he would, because that's his whole thing, right? Is he's willing to have a dialogue with anyone, but maybe he would.
Yeah, I think that might be his problem.
He might spot us as bad faith actors pretty quickly, though.
This is Hoot and Holler, a podcast about the Ozarks. All right, I didn't hear Taylor at all, and Josh was a full 2 seconds after me, but we'll just roll with it. Yeah, I've been so fucking frustrated with the internet lately, and then, it's one of the things that's just like, I've hit the wall with this fucking pandemic, man. I've just hit the fucking wall. Like, it's not the first time, but this time feels different. I'm breaking things. My brain, I just can't focus at all. I can't focus at work. I can't focus, like, editing audio. The only thing that I can, like, devote my attention to is just, like, stupid fucking Twitter or video games. And it's just because I can, like, turn my brain mostly off when I do that, And I've just lost it. I broke a computer last night. I broke our Harvey's old laptop that we use to watch, like, TV on, basically.
Are you breaking these things on purpose?
No.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. Like, are you rage smashing keyboards into the wall like an angsty teen?
No, I'm just I'm a total klutz. Like, I broke my phone like 2 weeks ago. I shattered the screen, and it's been acting really weird because it was in my back pocket and I leaned against something. The windshield on our car broke in the last couple of days. I'm assuming just because of, like, temperature disparities or something. Like, maybe where I parked when I was at work this week, like, the sun was on, like, half of the windshield while it was 12 degrees outside or whatever. And so, like, the disparity fucking cracked it or something. I don't know. I haven't been behind any trucks. I haven't hit anything, and I haven't been parked where anything would have fallen on it. So I don't know how else it would have happened. I don't know. I'm just fucking, everything around me is falling apart. That's not even counting the, the well and water main fiasco from a couple of weeks ago. And that's just, like, indicative of, like, of what's going on. It's not even really a reflection of my own mental state, which is just like, I don't know. My thought process is like like a dog shitting in the snow. I don't know. Like, I can't squeeze out anything out of my brain. I'm like a constipated baby.
I was gonna say, in this scenario, your brain is a dog's anus.
Yeah, my brain is the dog's anus, and my thoughts are the shit.
Okay.
And the dog ate something weird, and he's having trouble with it. So,
have you seen Joe Biden's ugly dog?
Oh my god, I can't.
Yeah.
Why are people?
Have you seen the commentary about this?
Yeah.
I saw the Newsmax.
Yeah, that guy is awesome.
Yeah. I like it. Like, I don't know. We're so broken. We're so fucking completely broken as a country that, like, weird liberals are taking his dogs and using them to, like, to make fan fiction to justify austerity and shit to run cover for Joe Biden. And Republicans are talking about how Joe Biden is a bad person because he's got an ugly, dirty dog or whatever. So
that looks dirty.
Yeah, it just looks dirty. It's just his fucking coat.
It's just his coat. It's just like the cut. Like he's literally judging this dog by the color of its fur. Like there's like dark mangy dog. There probably are some kind of like clear overtones here.
Yeah, I was just say I feel like that's not too far off for Newsmax.
Right.
Meanwhile, that dog has access to better food and health care than any one of the three of us and probably anybody listening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That dog is living the King Ralph situation where it just found itself. Suddenly, this old street dog is just living the high life. No, I think that what the Biden administration is going to, and already is illustrating, is that conservative media is going to just go back. They've had to defend Trump for the last 4 years, but they're going to go back to their id, and it's going to be worse because the things they're finding to get mad about are going to be more absurd than even when they were mad that Obama ate Grey Poupon on his on his hamburger.
Right.
And the liberal media is going to and I'm speaking too generally, obviously. But I mean the kind of CNN, MSNBC media are going to double down and do run interference for the Biden administration. They're writing glowing profiles of like all of the nepotism hire daughters or stepdaughters and nieces of Kamala Harris. Which Tiffany Trump didn't get any of that, and she didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? Like, so you're going to see the liberal media get worse, and the conservative media. I don't even know how they're going to get worse, but getting mad about Joe Biden's rescue dog that's a good start.
Yeah,
I just ran up. Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, I was thinking that like it's funny for me to watch, like all the things that the Biden administration has done, backing out on stimulus payments, going backwards on student debt relief, continuing deportations, all these things. And people are like, but guess what? He has not one, but 2 rescue dogs in the White House. So
yeah, but one's ugly.
Progress. Yeah, it's ugly representation.
Well,
I'm not trying
I just
to be mean,
ran up to
but...
the.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. I'm lagging over here. You go ahead.
No, you're. I was gonna say I don't give a shit if Joe Biden had 10 fucking rescue black cats in the White House. He's still doing a shitty job. Like I don't care. What? My biggest problem was Trump.
Well,
was not the fact that he didn't have a dog. Like.
But there were liberals that were complaining about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was an obsession for some of the most brain broke fucking pundits in our country.
Because they used it as a way to say that he's a sociopath for not being like a dog lover. We already know that Trump is a sociopath. It has nothing to do with him like playing with a dog or whatever.
Right. This man won election just like weeks after the Access Hollywood tape dropped, and they think that they're going to win hearts and minds by pointing out the guy doesn't have a fucking dog. Like, just like a completely brain broke fucking interpretation of like what politics is or should be, and so is like the cover running. The story, glowing stories about shit that mostly doesn't matter. And I mean, representation is absolutely important, but it's not, but it gets used as a cover for like powerful people who are going to do terrible things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, it's congratulations. He hired all women to lead his press corps, or press staff, which is just going to lie for him because that's what that fucking position requires. You know what I mean? And so running a story about how his whole press, from Jen Psaki down is all women is fucking it doesn't matter. What does that matter if their job is just to get up there and lie to you? Plus, Trump, other than Sean Spicer, 3/4 of his fucking administration had a female press secretary, so it's not like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's some kind of like fucking groundbreaking thing.
That's the perfect illustration of the kind of story they would do for him that they wouldn't do for Trump, where the Trump people have a point that they can't get the same kind of tabloid treatment for their people, because they were saying this is the first all-female comms department, but that's not true, right? Under McEnany, it was all-female at the end as well. So, anyone working in comms sucks.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not all female anyways under Biden, because one of those...
Oh, wait, that one guy.
Yeah, there's the guy, like, it's not even all female, because, like, the story out of all that in the last, like, week or so was one of the psychopaths in the comms team was, like, screaming at a reporter and saying he was going to destroy her and shit, and he got put on, like, a week of paid leave or whatever as his only punishment.
He resigned finally.
Did he?
But he resigned not because he was threatening her, but it was because he said, "You're just jealous that this guy, one guy doesn't want to fuck you." It was the like,
it's Trump shit.
The sexualization of it. Yeah,
it's Trump shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like in the coverage of the Cuomo stuff, even now, right now, as more and more bad stuff comes out about how Andrew Cuomo has been running the state for 3 terms of state of New York for 3 terms, and now the last year of just like fucking browbeating and threatening and covering up scandals and stuff during COVID, while also, you know, being touted out as like the man and dealing with COVID and stuff as some sort of anti-Trump. It's clear that he is just fucking Trump. He's just wearing a different colored fucking hat. You know what I mean? He's a little bit less crass.
Yeah.
Hell, but he's meaner, honestly, you know, because he knows how to leverage political power in a way that Trump didn't know how to do.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I want to correct something I said. I said I think that Cuomo might be one of the worst politicians in the country. He is the worst. He is the worst person.
Absolutely.
Like, of all the politicians, I don't think there's anyone who has more direct power using it in... to more detriment than him.
Right. Yeah.
Unchecked.
I think that there are worse
by the media.
There are probably like worse, but nobody at the scale, you know. Like Kristi Noem of South Dakota is shitheel, like 100% shitheel. You know,
right.
set up a COVID response that killed way more fucking people in South Dakota than should have died, considering the density, you know, for a respiratory disease. Like South Dakota should have been pretty lightly hit, considering that people live extremely far apart and there aren't that many people there. And she set up a situation where as many people basically per capita died there as New York, but New York isn't, I mean, South Dakota isn't the financial center of the fucking world, you know? South Dakota doesn't have, 9 million people just in one city alone. South Dakota doesn't even have a fucking million people in the entire state. So yeah, you're absolutely right. To scale, like, he's the worst motherfucker in politics in America right now.
Yeah.
The South Dakota using their CARES Act for a statewide orgy was not the best response to COVID.
Yeah, I forgot about Sturgis. Oh boy, yeah. I don't know. That ties into everything we just talked about. It kind of ties into what I want to talk about this week. But I feel like there are 2 things that we should probably talk about up top. And the first is Missouri's favorite native son, and maybe one of the most damaging human beings to live in the last 30 years. Rush Limbaugh has fucking kicked it. He's dead, folks. Ding dong. The bitch is dead. Oh, I'm gonna have
the house finally landed on him.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, I know you guys. I know y'all know you have conservative parents. Like, I'm sure you were exposed to Rush, and worse, your folks were exposed to Rush, and it probably ruined their brains. But also, you know, he set the stage for all the other shit that has contributed to your parents ruining their brains. You know what I mean? I know so many people that I've had to work with over the years or gone to school with who are just like turned into absolute monsters by listening to this motherfucker. You know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, they called themselves DItto Heads. You know, just we are going to parrot the things that this guy says.
Right. Yeah, they're the same people who go around screaming about cancel culture and calling everybody, everything groupthink and shit. You know, the Ditto Heads and Rush Babies.
Cancel culture finally got something right. We have finally successfully canceled Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
And what a glorious day it is.
The only thing I am sad about is that he didn't die earlier and that he didn't suffer more.
I think somebody made a really good point back when the news of Rush Limbaugh had just like having terminal cancer broke, and they were just like, it's not good to speak ill of the dead, so let's just agree now while he's still alive that Rush Limbaugh is just garbage wrapped in skin. And I agree with the last part, but I think you should absolutely talk shit about Rush Limbaugh even while he's dead.
Look, I've been checking
I've
been checking Find a Grave every day for a week to see if this motherfucker is going to be buried in Florida or next to his family in Cape Girardeau, and I sure hope it's in Cape Girardeau because, man, this week I've been out of water at work, and so I've had to walk about 8 minutes to go take a piss, and I'll drive fucking 2.5 hours to empty my bladder.
That'll be our first. Be our first outing as a podcast.
It's a world's most popular gender neutral toilet. Yeah.
Yes.
They are going to set up a guard tower. They're going to have they're going to reroute the Promise Keepers, and they're only going to be in charge of watching over Rush's grave.
Oh shit.
That's the thing about Rush dying. Fox News wouldn't have been a viable business model if it hadn't been for Rush kind of becoming like the phenomenon he was.
100.
And so, yeah, he's dead, but there are a million Charlie Kirks and Ben Shapiros and Mark Levins that are all out there to try to take up the mantle. Like, they don't have the same talent at broadcasting, but they have the same odious views and
right. Well, you have. I mean, Tucker. Tucker's is obvious
Tucker
air as far as popularity and just like dominating and pioneering in the medium of just being a lying piece of shit racist every single night and making millions of dollars doing it.
Right.
So.
Yep.
I don't know.
Hannity's a little bit too stupid. Like, Hannity...
Yeah,
I feel like Hannity's past his peak. I think we're going to see just more and more of Tucker over the next few years, Like, Hannity Hannity kind of like fizzled out like 2009, 2010. Nobody gives a shit about Sean Hannity. He's too dumb. He's ugly. He's got a bad haircut, He sounds weird. Tucker for some reason appeals and this is what I don't understand, like living in a rural place in the Ozarks. I get that, like, I live in one of the whitest regions in the US. I live in one of the most reactionary regions in the US. I live in a place that not only has subsumed the like American mythos of the rugged individual, but the Ozarks is like one of the most extreme examples of that. Like the people who lived when it was illegal to live in Appalachia as a white American. They had already been there 2 generations, and then they thought it was fucking too crowded in like 1835. You know what I mean? Like somebody moved into the holler 2 hollers away, and they thought it was getting a little bit too crowded, so they moved to fucking Taney County. I understand all of that. And I have no idea where I was going with that point because, again, my brain is just a fucking dog anus.
Somehow it's gonna tie into Tucker.
Oh, I don't understand. People like Tucker and Trump, fucking billionaire, like effete, fucking dork ass morons have somehow captured the hillbillies around.
Right.
Me. You know what I mean? Like. If I
they're
went back to
cosplaying.
2012 and told these motherfuckers that they were gonna go ape shit about some dude who shits in a golden toilet on the 78th floor or whatever of a skyscraper in New York, and that he was gonna be their new god king, they would fucking spit in my face. You know?
Yeah, because they both are cosplaying populism, because they don't care. Like, same with Josh Hawley. You know, like, none of these people actually care.
Right.
It's all just about their power and their influence.
Well, it's a means to an end.
Tucker and Trump both go further than like a Hannity, because they are more overt in their hatred of immigrants, and will say crasser things about liberals than most conservatives, most mainstream conservatives, right?
Right.
Like, at least once a week, I see a thing that says it's like his headline. It's AOC is a dingbat, and that's what Tucker's saying that night. You know, like where Hannity probably wouldn't say that. He would call her Alexandria Ospindo or something like that. You know, like just some terrible, unfunny thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hannity's going the way of Bill O'Reilly and is just going to be completely knocked out of. I mean, there's insane. I mean, I don't know. Like I was earlier, I drove up right before we got on here. I drove up to the country store to buy myself some beer and some cigarettes, and I was listening to 101.3 Real Country, which is a reformat of a previously. It's the best country station in the Springfield listening area, like hands down. It was previously The Outlaw, and it played a lot of badass music. For both, it never really played much outlaw music, but it played more like quote unquote modern outlaw stuff. But it played a lot of shit I love, like Tyler Childers and like Sturgill Simpson and shit, like constantly. Mm-hmm. I was in love with it. But now they reformatted to Real Country, which I'm 100% sure. I mean, one, it's a result of them being bought out by Zimmer. But two, I'm 100% sure that it has to do with Back the Blue shit. It couldn't be the outlaw in such a time of conservative virtue signaling around cops and shit, right? So now it's Real Country, and they play mostly like modern classic stuff, like a lot of 80s and 90s, like Travis Tritt, Alan Jackson, Bocephus, fucking you name it. But they play Newsmax commercials now. And
oh no!
So I was riding up there, and there was this fucking insane ad for Newsmax that was just an anti-Biden campaign ad, basically. Like, Biden's coming for your guns. He's trying to. It was basically the NRA may have paid for it, because the whole thing was about the NRA. It wasn't just about gun control and shit. It was specifically about Joe Biden's war on the NRA. And it was an ad for some guy's show or whatever. But at the end of it, they claim that Newsmax is now the 4th most watched cable TV news channel, and we are fucked, folks. Like, if people are watching that at the rate,
yeah, I think it's just that Fox News viewers, they're shedding viewers and are going to Newsmax, and the Newsmax people are just a little bit more insane than Fox News.
I work with some Newsmax viewers, and they were telling me the other day that Fox News is now too liberal. So, reporting from the ground,
which is nuts, because Fox News. I mean, Fox News called Arizona, which everybody was pissed about in the election, and then they tried to not. Well, some of the like straight news end of it, side of it, not the opinion, like primetime stuff, tried to do the like quote unquote right thing in telling the truth instead of telling the quote unquote big lie or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now they've just gone back to insanity. I mean, Fox News is going back to like. I mean, there's even more crazy shit on there because they realized that they were shedding viewers to Newsmax and OAN. I don't know. Fucking nuts. Anyways, Rush Limbaugh's dead.
Yeah. The the only thing, like, I applaud everybody that is talking shit about Rush Limbaugh and his death. The only thing that, like, the only thing that I don't like about it is there's a lot of nuance missing, like, with how people talk about addicts. Because, like, my main problem with Rush Limbaugh was not the fact that he was a drug addict. I don't know if that's anything, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of things you can make fun of Rush Limbaugh for. We can literally just anything that he ever said, but like, the people who are addicted in your life deserve better than to be compared to Rush Limbaugh. So, other than that, make fun of Rush Limbaugh,
Yeah.
be happy that he's dead. If there is an afterlife, I hope he's in the bad place. And if he does get buried in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, I'm going to shit on his grave. FYI.
It's tricky because Rush spent so much of his career shitting on what he called junkies and pillheads, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
he
it's a hard
devoted
needle to
bunch
thread.
of time to accusing, while he himself was just like popping oxys, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same way that so many people that are obsessed with Save the Children stuff turn out to be like have child pornography. Like I forget who the guy was who was like one of the like Pizzagate kind of people that was a representative. Shocker, he got in trouble for having child porn. It's just the complete hypocrisy of someone like Limbaugh who was perfectly fine with locking up addicts.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he was probably for the death penalty at some point.
Yeah.
And also blamed didn't he blame his housekeeper for getting him addicted or whatever?
I think it was something wild like that.
I didn't know that.
And
just a complete scumbag.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I guess, like, ultimately, I think what I'm trying to say here is that we can absolutely make fun of Rush Limbaugh for being a giant hypocrite and a big piss baby and one of the worst people that has ever disgraced this mortal coil. But I'm not gonna. It's kind of like, you know, when people want to, like, when they would call Trump, like, oh, look at that big fat son of a bitch. I'm like, yeah, guys, like, Trump's not gonna read this.
Right.
You're just gonna make your fat friends feel really bad. So that's and it just because, like, I do have friends that are addicts or recovering, you know, whatever.
Sure, we all do.
That's the only thing on that I and I think like that's something that sometimes, like, on the left we forget that there can be nuance to things. I know sometimes I forget that. So it's like, I'm not defending Rush Limbaugh or anything that he ever said or anything that he ever did, but
I will defend him dying.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy about that. Him dying is
the one thing that he did that I'll defend.
Yeah, I said his best work by far.
Fucking 25 years too late.
Yeah.
When I saw that he died, and it's so funny because, like, I get, like, push notifications of, like, just from whatever Apple News or whatever, and it's so funny because I will frequently find out things that have happened on Twitter, like, moments before the push notification will come through. And I read it, and somebody was like, hell yeah, Rush finally bit the dust. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then, like, minutes later, it came through on Apple News, and I was like, what a glorious moment for me to get to relive twice.
Well, I found out from Josh because friend and hero of the show, Carmen, the Christian
oh my God, yeah, we have to
addict,
talk about that too.
Also passed last week, and you know, and Josh responded to that saying that he had almost mentioned Rush leaving Twitter like last week or whatever, and it was saying it wasn't a big deal because he was going to die or whatever on last week's episode. And that was how I learned that Rush died. Like, I immediately went and, like, looked it up and, like, oh fuck.
Yeah, because the night before,
But yeah, we lost two Titans on the same day.
we had recorded something about Carmen where we goofed on Carmen for a while, and then
I think
it was like if we start having powers where we talk about someone and they die, let's talk about Tucker some more.
Tucker used to live in Little Rock. He was a reporter at the Democrat Gazette. Yeah.
No shit.
Did they run him out of town for being a little dandy? Or were they, let's get this fancy boy out of here.
We should start a campaign like accusing him of being a liberal plant because he worked for the Democrat Gazette.
Well, I mean, wasn't he on MSNBC?
Yeah, he. I think so. On Crossfire, right? Was it Crossfire? It was he. It was back in his bow tie days.
It was something.
It was in that weird time where we were doing like Hannity and Combs and Crossfire and shit like that, where we had some liberal pundit who was actually just like a fucking Reaganite, and some insane
like a
person
Joe
like
Manchin Democrat.
Tucker. Yeah, basically. Because it was it Matthews? I think maybe I might have that wrong. I don't know. But you think about like Hannity and Combs, and like Combs is like he was like a fucking neutered dog, and he was out there with like a rabid fucking alpha wolf like Hannity, at least at the time in like 2004 or whatever. And he would just like, the whole premise of it was supposed to be fair and balanced, that you're getting like a liberal and a conservative or whatever, but you had this like a certified sociopath screaming at the top of his lungs, and then Alan Combs just kind of like sitting there like shivering. So
just kind of this they didn't actually advertise for a Woody Allen type, but like they needed kind of a nerdy like guy who will, and like the show was Hannity's show, and I watched that miniseries about Roger Ailes, and when they started the show, it was Hannity and liberal, and they were looking for a liberal to fill the slot, and so they auditioned some. They needed someone that Hannity could beat up on, and Allen was perfect for the job.
Yeah, he was a fucking dish
Alan
rag.
Combs, he always looked like a rejected Tim Burton character.
Yes, he kind of looked like the Crypt Keeper with a little bit more skin.
Yeah, he just looked haunted. Like he had actually died, and there were just ghosts inside him.
I can't remember the guy's name, but he looks like a character actor that was in a bunch of shit around the same time. I think he was in like Batman Begins. As like one of the gangsters or something. I don't know. I can't think of his fucking name. He's in everything from 1995 to 2007 probably. But he looks just like him, except like equal opposite. Like they have like the same face, but one of them is like virile and scary and probably has connections to the mob, and then the other one is just like a guy who, I don't know, sells fucking, I don't know. I don't even have a good way to describe Alan Combs. He's like such a R.I.P.
He named his
Speaking ill of the dead over here.
Yeah, he named his book "Red, White, and Liberal." It's not even a good pun. Like
what?
Yes, and
it should have been like
he had
blue,
a chapter,
but the blue was like
God
damn it. That's I'm gonna go smack that fucking advertiser upside the head.
So bad. He had a chapter called "OJ is Innocent," and it was one of his.
Oh.
Listen, wait, this gets worse. This was always one of his go-to points that he thought was just like a checkmate. He said, "I believe in our system, and our system of justice said this man is not guilty of the crime, and so OJ is innocent." And he would always argue that when people would talk about the legal system.
That is.
Oh my god.
It's something.
Yeah, so he got steamrolled by Hannity every day of the week.
Yeah, and you know what? He honestly kind of deserved it. For being honest.
Right, yeah.
It's like that's some real big like America is great because America is good energy. Like they couldn't the justice system could not possibly get this thing wrong.
Right. The guy living in Beverly Hills who hired the most expensive attorneys and legal team ever assembled definitely had the same fair shake at justice as everyone else
You
arrested
know,
in California in the 1990s.
it's funny. It ties in that all of these things. I feel like this is all like this is a fucking Adam Curtis doc, because like the OJ thing ties into what we're talking about now, because Dershowitz was one of his defense attorneys, right? And Dershowitz is a long time, like big time Democratic donor who pushed a lot of policy on, like on the people that he donated to, especially at like the congressional level. And then he turned into like a Trumpite, which they also shared a thing with, like both being folks who spent a lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey and Dershowitz is the guy who got Jeffrey Epstein that sweetheart deal where for being a fucking human trafficker and pederast, he only had to serve like 3 days a week in prison or whatever, and he got to go like hang out at his office during the day to go work or whatever. Dershowitz is the guy who negotiated that sweetheart deal, and then defended Trump in his first
Holy
impeachment
shit.
trial, and now has a Newsmax show. So that he kind of, I don't know, that all it's weird. I don't have any point here. It's just kind of, I don't know if you guys are too familiar with Adam Curtis's work, but I've been watching his newest series, Can't Get You Out of My Head, and it's kind of like all these little tendrils, all these little threads that kind of like, they all just like kind of touch and work together.
Do you know how else this connects to what we're talking about? Tucker Carlson got on TV because someone called him during the OJ case and said, do you know a legal expert we could get on to talk about the OJ case? And Tucker said he'd get back to him, then called him back and said, actually, I am. It wasn't true. Tucker has admitted it's not true, that he just went on and started talking and had an opinion. And that's how he got his Crossfire gig eventually. And that's how he got to where he is now, by lying and saying, yeah, I'm a legal expert. And then he said he went home, read about the case, and started having hot takes.
Oh, so he's basically a stand-up comedian. He's an overthinker.
Oh, well, I'm gonna hop onto Gmail after this and write Adam Curtis an email asking him to please tackle fucking OJ Simpson trial next, and how that all kind of ties into where we're at today. Did you all see Hypernormalization?
How it's destroyed our world.
Yeah.
Century of Self.
I mean, yeah, I've seen that, and in Century of Self.
Yeah.
And Bitter Lake as well.
Can't get you out of my head. We're only 2 episodes in. Harvey and I've been watching it. It's finally up on YouTube now. We were trying to do a little skirting around to get into the BBC and all that, and then found it on another website, but then our shitty internet wouldn't load and all. But now it's finally on YouTube, so we're finally catching up. And 2 episodes in, I don't know what the fuck his point is. And I was thinking about it like last night. It's like, after like I could write you a description of Century of Self. I could write you like what the thesis of Century of Self is in just like, I don't know, in a tweet-sized paragraph or whatever. I don't think I could do that for Hypernormalization. I've seen Hypernormalization like 3 or 4 times, and it has shifted like my worldview, but I could not tell you what the fuck that movie is about. At least not like succinctly. And I feel the same about like Can't Get You Out of My Head so far. I don't know. It's got me twisted. It's got me thinking about fucking disinformation in unreality, which is hitting me at the same time, which, like I said, I'm just like hit the wall on fucking this pandemic and isolation, and my brain isn't working right, and I'm not sure what is real and what is true. And like over the last year, in what I think is a pretty defensible and natural action, I've like developed this heuristic where like I assume that bad news is mostly false and good news is bad news is mostly true and good news is mostly false, which is not helpful at all, but also it has largely bared out. And so I don't like moving into this new administration where the information machine is changing, the way that the media is reacting to power has changed drastically, honestly. Like you were saying, like we're getting like we went from a media that was at least like the quote unquote mainstream was largely antagonistic to power to it being like completely deferential to power now.
Right.
And so like I don't know, like reading vaccine news stories and reading, I mean, it comes down to fucking everything, like foreign policy stuff, like take the situation in Xinjiang in China with the Uyghurs. I have zero idea what to believe about that. I know enough about American history,
Right.
about manufactured consent, about the CIA, that I just simply do not trust anything about it. Not to mention the fact that I live in what is internally a failed state and externally is probably like the greatest fucking exporter of human misery in human history. And so like it's kind of hard for me to place any kind of morality on it at all because I don't know. And also I personally in my own politics have more pressing problems here at home and abroad even to be like putting things on other folks. And so I don't know, man. Like I just don't know. Like anytime I look in, I'm stepping in shit here with the China thing 100%. And so I want to be clear that this is entirely me. This is entirely me. If you want to get mad at the show, get mad at me. Do not get mad at my co-host because this is me saying this. It's just I don't know. I don't fucking know. All I do know is that like 3/4 of the shit of the articles out there that talk about what's going on in Xinjiang all reference Adrian Zenz, who is like a fucking Christo-fascist nut who, you know what I mean? Like there's not like a lot of reliable sourcing out there. And so I remain completely agnostic on it. And I remain completely agnostic on the truth about almost fucking anything. I do not know what is going on in this world right now because I do not know what I can trust to be real. And it is having a pretty palpable fucking effect on my mental health. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's February. February is always the worst fucking month anyways. Hands down, the worst out of all 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
In any year, let alone this fucking pandemic, awful weather that we've had lately. It's just like I'm losing my grip, folks.
Here's what I'm gonna prescribe to you. When you are about to go hit play on part 3 of the new Adam Curtis, watch an episode of Gilmore Girls instead. Just cheer yourself right up.
Well, here's the thing: is I was hoping it would be. It's in a way, it's kind of a balm because like he examines like how we've been lied to. And
you feel less crazy, right? Because he's
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel more despair, but less crazy. Like I feel like this. I feel like the amount of unhinged that I am, the amount of distrust and agnosticism that I have about just the truth, the quote-unquote epistemological crisis that our good friend of the show, Barack Obama, coined. Sorry, Terrence Ray. The E-crisis, like I feel much less unhinged, but more despair about it because I basically what Adam Curtis is really good at doing is telling you like a lot of things that are wrong about the world, but he's smart and humble enough to never tell you how to fix it. He tells you like what not to do, but he won't tell you what to do, and it's infuriating. But I also respect it, and I'm grateful for it.
I saw someone summarize the new thing: 7.5 hours of the world is terrible and dark, and 30 minutes of but we can change it.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I haven't got to the we can change it part. I don't know. I don't know if I 100% agree with that, honestly. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I mean, we probably can't like change it, but the world is changing, and so we can lay the foundations for a better world on the other side of a great transformational period, right? Like things I don't know, like there's less fervor in the news, you know, there's less panic in the news, but things seem to still be falling apart. As we were talking about, like the whole state of the right-wing media environment, like, I mean, it's only getting more crazy, and people's realities are only like separating off more and more. So that's not going to end in a good place, especially coupled with like what we've, you know, with the weather patterns and stuff that we're seeing that tend to, that to my eye, like are starting to, we may be like at or past the tipping point on climate. Like we are hitting the point where climate crisis is not something that's like a possibility or a probability, but is like here. And it's not only just like climate crisis, but we are just like very close to climate catastrophe, you know? Like when a system failure is when something hits a tipping point in a system that causes a system failure, it goes from being being pretty good to pretty bad to like all of a sudden and like all of a sudden very fucking bad. You know what I mean? when a system breaks down, whether it be a political system or an environmental system, all of a sudden it sets off a chain reaction, right? And we're kind of like right at the precipice on both, and they're having an effect on each other that is very concerning. But the hope is like the work that we do now can at least, if it all burns to the ground, at least we have a foundation laid to build something new out of the ashes. You know what I mean? Because the world that fucking Adam Curtis paints is immovable to me. Like he lays out how, I mean, basically we can't do anything about it. I'm excited to get to the point where he gives some hope, because every instance he shows that like if you try to build something new and you keep parts of the old in it, then the old ends up fucking either subsuming it, or the new goes absolutely bonkers and destroys everything in order to try to get rid of the old. But we may get at the point where like the old and the new are kind of just like blowing up in our fucking faces, and we can build from the ground up. I mean, I think humanity will survive like a quote-unquote existential climate catastrophe, because if there's anything that our species is good at is adaptation. But it's the question is as to like what scale, you know? What does that look like? I don't know.
To me, it looks like me living like the old man in Logan's Run, who, when they find him, they say, "Are you all alone here?" And he says, "No, I have all these cats." And he just lives in this like abandoned study with dozens of cats. And that's how I picture my future.
My hope is to be, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the science fiction book Canticle for Leibowitz, but my goal is to be just like Leibowitz, which is to say to collect and store just enough like weird information that some sort of future society is built on a cult around it.
Yeah, that does sound dope.
I'll be one of the guys in Fahrenheit 451 at the very end when they've all memorized a book. Except the book they gave me to memorize was Tucker Max's I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell.
Oh my god.
I'm just walking around repeating all of his disgusting fake stories.
I haven't thought about Tucker Max in quite literally years. What if that is Tucker Carlson's, like, secret identity?
That's his alt.
Yeah, that's his alt.
I want to have to hear Tucker Carlson say something like, "So I was blasting this sorority girl in the ass, and then I vomited."
Oh god. Oh. 2009,
here's
2010 was a wild time to be alive.
Here's something I want to say about Tucker Max. This is the thing about Rush Limbaugh dying and Tucker Max having he's kind of now tried to have a resurgence as a reformed, like, daddy blogger.
What? Really?
Me?
Tucker Max is back? Max is back?
He ghost wrote or co-wrote Tiffany Haddish's book also. Which is called, like, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Okay, anyway, so he for a minute was like the enemy number one on college campuses, kind of like the Shapiro, because he would go and just say a bunch of disgusting stuff to frat guys, and they would cheer and yell about how horrible feminists are.
Right.
And he was kind of the pre-Milo in that way. But he went away, but there's a million, like, it's the same thing about focusing on the evil of Rush Limbaugh, specifically the human. You know what I mean? Like, you can destroy him, you can cancel Rush, but there's a million other of these people, and there were a million other, like, MRA guys to take
right.
Tucker Max's place. Except it's like Steven Crowder now. You know what I mean? It's someone who's more political. Or it's Barstool Sports. It's basically Tucker Max times whatever.
Oh yeah. That whole Barstool scene has very, like, 06 pickup artist vibes
and
to it, yeah.
And Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool, goes on Tucker Carlson as an expert to talk about AOC and things like that.
What?
Yeah, no, it's...
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with, like, Rush. Rush is really kind of like... I mean, he jumped in right at the end of, like, the fairness doctrine during the Reagan years, right? Like, and he figured out how to capitalize on that. And not only... He's not like some fucking, the band Television or, like, Velvet Underground where... he's Nirvana. He's a band who was massively popular and also, like, had a tangible, perceptible, and permanent fucking effect on his industry, like Nirvana did on the music industry. You know, they say of, like, Velvet Underground that they sold only, whatever many records, but every person that bought Peel Slowly and See or whatever, or Underground and Nico, went on to start a band. Well, it's like Rush did
everyone
that,
who heard Rush went and started their own racist radio show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, except it was millions of fucking people, and if they didn't start a racist radio show, well, guess what? Either they or their son or whatever nephew is now doing front face fucking videos, like, screaming about cultural Marxism from the front of their fucking Dodge Ram 2500.
Do you know how Rush first got on the radio when he was 15 or 16?
How?
His dad owned the radio station. So
another fucking nepotism case, huh?
His family is right?
His family is powerful. I mean, straight up. Like, his his granddaddy was a jurist was a judge in the Eastern, I think, and consecutively Western District of the Missouri oh, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know shit about the judicial system or how it's structured. But he was a federal judge. I think it was the district court. Yeah, Eastern and Western District. Like he served consecutively in the Eastern and Western District of Missouri, and then his brother or his uncle also like went and held those spots too. I mean, the courthouse in Cape Girardeau is called the Rush Hudson Limbaugh Senior Courthouse. It's named after his granddaddy.
Is there a Rush statue somewhere we can tear down?
Oh, I'm sure. I think he's inducted in the like Hall of
He is in the
Missourians. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I'm sure he has some like fucking grotesque bronze statue of him in there.
Just put him up as gargoyles on the courthouse. So I want to read this thing. So Representative Hardy Billington from Poplar Bluff.
All right, one more time. Representative what?
That's Hardy Billington from
Hardy Billington?
Hardy
That
Billington.
sounds like a sex position
Poplar
Tucker Max would have made up.
It's like a fucking. To me, it sounds like an extra in To Kill a Mockingbird or some shit.
Definitely someone in To Kill a Mockingbird who had a torch who was screaming at Atticus to let them do the lynching.
Hardy Billington.
So he wants to make January 12th, Rush's birthday, Rush Limbaugh Day across the state. And he said, Rush Limbaugh's contributions to broadcasting and the conservative movement, why the fuck would that be a reason to have a state holiday? And the conservative movement cannot be overstated. He was simply put a legend who cannot be replaced. This is one way we can recognize the outstanding impact Rush Limbaugh has had on our state and our country.
Other than the last sentence, I agree. He's right about all of that.
Right.
Except,
right, yeah.
He probably won't be replaced, at least not by a single individual. He's been replaced by 1,000 of them, you know? But
right.
Everything he said is completely right. It was an incalculable loss for conservatism to lose their absolute fucking insane carnival barker.
And it's just like, do people like genuinely just like forget all of like the evil, vile shit that he has said? Or are there just like not that many famous people from Missouri? So like when they have one, they're just like, listen, we know he sucks, but
no, they agree with the horrible things he said.
Yeah, they just agree with
it. That's the thing. It's like
100%.
They can't celebrate gay men dying of AIDS anymore, but they don't think he's wrong. They thought that was cool.
Yeah.
They not only do they agree with it, they think it's funny. Like they thought Rush Limbaugh was funny. I'm sorry, he's not funny.
That's the most important thing here, right? Is like he's like not just like he's not Tucker Carlson. Like he's like fucking Howard Stern, right? Like these people would tune into Rush and get mad or laugh. That was it. Those like the two things that you would do while listening to Rush Limbaugh is either you get insanely pissed at some guy that you just made up in your head, or you laugh your ass off at some fucking absolute travesty.
Rush Limbaugh was the original inventing guys to get mad at. You know what I mean? Like he did it on his show every day. He would invent a guy for you to get mad at. He talked about one of his hilarious classic bits that he did like in the Clinton era. And one, think about how unfunny this is, but two, also think about the point he's trying to make. He said that he would take a condom and he put it on over his mic. And now I'm practicing safe radio, just like safe sex. This condom is making this safe radio. One, that's not funny. Like, but also the joke is that condoms don't work, I guess.
Yeah, what? I don't know.
But he always talked about that like it was such a great bit.
I'm a paleo conservative. I pull out.
So the other thing I was thinking about when they're talking about having a Rush Limbaugh Day, one, I've decided I'm for it as long as state workers get a paid day off. which
Which-
Rush would love.
Which they would. Yeah. I think
Exactly.
they, I mean, paid state workers get off for like Truman Day and shit like that. So they would have the day off.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Rush, hater of government bureaucrats, giving a paid day off to.
I mean, schools
government
wouldn't.
workers.
Teachers wouldn't, which would probably piss him off like the most if as if public school teachers got the day off for something like that.
But you have to do like Rush Limbaugh activities in your class, like coloring sheets and making fun of Chelsea Clinton, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like a fucking 12-year-old Chelsea
no-
Clinton too. Like not she's fair game now.
Not
Drag
Yeah,
37-year-old Chelsea Clinton investing in a fucking VC that's building an app to be a companion to trans people or whatever. That's trying to make money off of fucking trans folks' transition funds, but he was calling
To
her a
collect data,
dog
basically.
in like yeah. He was calling her a dog whenever she was like 12 fucking years old. You know what I mean? Like when she was just a child who's not responsible for what her parents did or anything.
And because he's a liar, he always claimed that because the joke is about the White House having a dog, and they put up a picture of Chelsea Clinton, ha ha ha, or they just got a new dog, something like that, and he claimed that the person put up, because there was a huge backlash, and he claimed the person put up the wrong picture. And what Al Franken said, because he wrote that book about him, then what's the joke, Rush? What is the joke? And of course, he has no answer because he's just a liar. But
Right.
the reason we should not have a Rush Limbaugh Day, which among other than all the obvious reasons, is just how forgettable and ethereal that opinion commentary is. Like, no one cares the day after it happened. You know what I mean? Like, everything we're saying now will be old by Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no one goes back and reads like Molly Ivins columns now, or Art Buchwald, or Andy Rooney. It's all forgotten. No one cares.
Well,
Like, the only old timey opinion person that anyone asks me for is Hunter Thompson, and that's because he was doing something else with it. You know what I mean? Like, all
Right.
of that stuff, editorial writing or commentary, is over, except for historians who are distilling or using it to tell a story of history.
The thing is, though, I mean,
But no one wants Rush Limbaugh's
especially
hot
with
takes.
someone like Rush, is that it doesn't matter 3 days what he said 3 days ago. But the thing is that penetrated your fucking brain. The way he said it, not just what he said, but the way he said it with derision or with joyful glee. In the case of like reading the names of past men who died with HIV or AIDS, like over a Dionne Warwick song, "I'll Never Love Like That Again." Like, it's not just like what his opinion was; it was the mere the delivery of it and what it meant or whatever. Just like fucking that psychic assault on your brain of this just like fucking vile worldview. You know, it's not necessarily what the content of it was. It doesn't matter. That's why I don't.
it's that
That's why
people's-
I agree 100% with what Taylor was saying about like dunking on him for his addictions and shit. And I would go even further because like I try not to do shit like that, because I don't think pointing out these people's hypocrisy matters at all. You're not countering them at all.
Oh,
it doesn't
absolutely.
matter. We've been trying for like 40 fucking years. Liberals have been trying to counter conservative fucking talking points, lies, propaganda by pointing out hypocrisy. Nobody gives a shit, dude. It does not matter. Like, yeah, it's frustrating for you and for me to see somebody being a deep hypocrite, but these people don't they don't care. They don't care. It does not matter. All you're doing is just like they just turn around and like say ha ha ha, triggered lib, snowflake, shit like that, you know?
Right.
It does not matter. You cannot own these people on fucking hypocrisy. We have to learn that. We have to own them if we want to. I don't even know that owning them. I mean, owning them is fun. It's cathartic personally, but as a political project, I don't know. If you want to fucking make anything stick to these people, then I don't know. We have 2 houses of Congress now. You know, like why aren't we fucking punishing any of them?
If the last 4 years taught liberals and the left nothing or anything, it should be that pointing out these people are lying or they're not doing what they say, or actually Donald Trump claims this. Like, it doesn't work.
They don't give a shit.
Yeah. Donald Trump, these people are shameless. It doesn't matter if yes, you are right. You are right. He lied, but he doesn't care. And it doesn't matter.
It does not
and
care.
The people, Rush Limbaugh to his listeners meant a lot, and it was more about someone saying the things that you feel. And in the way that watching Adam Curtis can make us feel less crazy. They listened to him, and they heard someone telling them that Christians in this country are getting a raw deal. You're being mocked by Hollywood. The feminazis are taking over. All of this stuff. And they felt themselves represented through him. And that's why he meant so much to them in a way that Sean Hannity and all these other people just doing the same thing probably won't. But, yeah, I agree that he is an incredibly important historical figure for the horrible world that he has helped to maintain.
I mean, we should have a Limbaugh Day.
His influence is huge.
We should have a Limbaugh Day not as like a celebratory one, but as like a somber one, you know, where we have to look at this shit. We have to fucking examine it and stare it in the eyes and reckon with it, you know. But we won't. We'll just a bunch of fucking scolds told us not to dance on this guy's grave, including people that like I like and respect, there are people I like and respect who told us not to dance on this guy's grave, and I say fuck that. Because even if you said if you hedged what you were going to say about him and just said the facts about him as some sort of fucking obituary, these motherfuckers would take his playbook and turn it into a grievance about it anyways. So fuck that shit.
Right.
Metaphorical, literal, or otherwise, piss on his grave.
And I remain completely consistent on this in that when I die, I want conservatives to be happy and all of my enemies to celebrate it. Because
dude, if people like Rush Limbaugh treated my death like I feel about his death, that would be a huge fucking win for me. That would be I'd be batting way above replacement here.
Yeah. It's like that one Instagram of the guy going to the funeral just to make sure that the guy he hated was dead. I want some of my haters to be at my funeral. I was trying to make a list of people that I would rather have a Missouri Day for than Rush.
Langston.
I didn't get. For actual good people, yeah.
Oh yeah, you got okay.
Obviously.
Sorry, I forgot I forgot that we're dirtbags and we're ironic. Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
who are the awful people who are better than Rush?
Okay, so the first one I have here is Bertha Gifford, who I think she was the 4th known female serial killer. So she was convicted of killing 3 people. But so what she did, this was in the early 1900s, is she would take care of people who were sick and to nurse them back to health. But what she would do is give them a little bit of arsenic if they started getting better.
Just a little bit of arsenic.
and killing them. So she killed 17.
Like almost every female serial killer has been arsenic, right? Like that's the go-to.
Yeah.
And God bless him.
I love a good
It's not a
girl
judgment
boss,
call.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then I have Droopy George Jr., who got a raw deal from the Waldnumbers Theater, so...
Also, anybody listening to this, if you have info on the Droopy George Jr. Goss, please contact us immediately.
Please.
Yes, please.
I know one of the
this is one
I know people who know some of the Presleys, so I'm gonna reach out and see if the Presleys will dish on the bald knobbers. You know, they've got like a 40-year grudge going on, so maybe I can get some hot goss out of the Presleys.
And then I didn't know that like these two. If we still want a radio baddie, we can either go with Man Cow, who is more known for Chicago, or we can go with Marshall Mathers, Eminem himself.
What?
Who was born in St. Joseph's.
Oh,
No
I
shit.
didn't know that. Huh.
I didn't
know that either.
I didn't know Bobby Bones, the big time country music radio guy, is A, from Arkansas, and B, a dim. People I've seen
Yeah.
like at least 3 different people now who have floated him as a possible contender against Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and I thought that's pretty funny.
Oh.
Maybe is that the future of Democratic politics? We need to replace all the Joe Manchins in the world. We need to run Garth Brooks for governor of Oklahoma, Bobby Bones for senator of Arkansas.
The Kentucky sports radio guy, I forget his name, was going to run for governor for a while.
Yeah, Jones.
That is the future.
He was one of the people who I was
Matt
referring
Jones,
to earlier. Yeah, I think so. Who was scolding people for dancing on Rush's grave.
Oh. I mean, well, that's how you could potentially be a governor in a red state is not dancing on the grave of someone that half of your state likes, I guess.
I mean,
the last.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The last people I would want a Missouri Day for instead are Nelly, Ali, Murphy Lee, Kaiwan, and City Spud, the Saint Lunatics.
I can't believe they don't already have a day.
I mean, they should.
I mean, like just as our since we're the Ozarks, I mean, George Washington Carver is from Diamond. Langston Hughes was born in Joplin. You know, like there are some like decent people who aren't honored to the level that they're talking about lifting fucking Limbaugh to. You know, that yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we got William Burroughs, and he only killed one wife. So.
Was he from Missouri too? I know he died in Lawrence.
He at least lived in Kansas City.
He lived in Lawrence for a long time. He lived in. I don't know that he lived in Kansas. He lived like the last half or third of his life in Lawrence, like after the William Tell.
Oh, he was born in
Saint. He was born where?
St. Louis. He was born in
Okay.
St. Louis,
Okay.
because he's on this St. Louis Walk of Fame or whatever it is.
Well, yeah. As far as fucking scumbags go, yeah, William Burroughs, man.
Look, we'll have a compromise Limbaugh Burroughs Day, a day to celebrate Missouri's scumbags.
Honestly, you know who I think needs one? Just from the entertainment they have provided from us, is we need an Anton Brothers Day.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be April 4th.
So here's
I
next.
don't know.
Next, yeah. So your task next week, Joshua, is to bring us a comprehensive look at the Ayton brothers and their slate running for city council. Since you're our Springfield correspondent,
I need to dig in.
And you're the one with a journalism degree.
That's true. Yeah. No. Yeah. I need to look into the other two people running because or the other three because they're running just enough. If they all won, they could control city council, which he talked about in this interview I watched, where the interviewer asked, "How would you work with the other people in city council?" And basically he said, "Well, if we all won, we wouldn't need to."
Yeah, he wants to listen to the people, right? His website says he wants to listen to the people, but also when asked how he feels about ballot referendums, he said he didn't know what they were, and then when explained to, said that he didn't support them.
The main theme, right? Yeah. Oh, well, I'll get into this next week. He also has some thoughts on $15 minimum wages for city employees.
I'm sure he does as a small business tyrant.
And
Sure he does.
And he feels like we are not being nice enough to the police.
One kiss for every employee of the Springfield Police Department. Well, we've come like full fucking circle. We went from Aton to Limbaugh to all around back to Limbaugh to Aton. So, anybody got anything else? No? We good? Did I drop out?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you dropped out for a second.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just I was just saying we made like the full circle back to where we started. Did anybody have anything else? God damn it! Did I drop out at the end?
I was just gonna say that my water pipes just started working again, so it's a Good Sunday
day,
miracle
Josh.
over here. My cats just went crazy and started running around, and it's because water kept just started flowing out.
Well, I'm about to piss my pants, and you're talking about water, so I feel like this is probably a good place to end it.
Okay, well, bottle it up so you can take it to Cape Girardeau and spill it out on a grave.
Not gonna waste a drop from here on out.
Your house is just gonna look like
like Howard Hughes'
what's his
hotel
name?
room.
Yeah.
Howard Hughes. Yeah.
Oh shit! Well, this was a fun one, y'all.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Rush should die every week.
Yeah, we love that.
All right. Well, I was not kidding. I really have to piss. I'm gonna jump.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Folks, thank you for tuning in once again to our comedy parody podcast, where everything we say is a finely crafted satirical joke. If you'd like to support the show, you can check us out at patreon.com/hootandhollerpod. You can send your angry emails to me, or tell any of us how great we are, but only send angry emails to me at hootandhollerpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social medias by looking for the same thing. I apologize for whatever the heck's going on with the audio. I'm having some computer issues. I hope to get that rectified here pretty quick. So, in the meantime, please bear with me. I'm doing my best. Music this week is from Olympics out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. A song called By the Wire from this year. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming through, and we'll talk to you next week.
Have you ever felt like letting the water pull you down, take you away? Tell me, is it cold, living by the wire? We are the proof of our desire. Did it hurt when you touched the fire? Were you ever warm? Say a word. I can see my faults burning in the fire, but you and I are standing on the wall. waste my time. I can't sit still. The dark and silence makes me